What is going on, guys? This is Brad by Fitness, and I want to do a video. Hopefully I can make this fairly quickly. I want to do something that observation on the Kern Open that happened this past weekend. What I'm about to say certainly has a potential to ruffle a few feathers, and I'm not doing this just to ruffle feathers. I really feel pretty strongly about this, and I felt like it's something to talk about and have an opportunity to kind of create a video for dialogue with everyone else and just to get people thinking. So specifically what I'm referring to is the commentary by Garrett Fear at the Kern Open. My overwhelming feeling was that it really was substandard and kind of actually bad. So this wasn't the first time that I've observed him. I actually saw him in person at the meet that I took Olive to, and I had issues with his commentary and actually made a video about it. And you can check that out in the card above here. But yeah, so just overarching, not a big fan. But I didn't want to turn this into like a big bash fest or just being super negative just for negative sake. I wanted to kind of get a number of other people's opinions and see what other people thought. So I reached out to Dan Clancy, I reached out to Rory Payne, I talked to a few other individuals, some of which asked not to be named, but to get kind of a feeling and so of what they thought. So it wasn't just me kind of in my echo chamber saying just what I think. So starting with the good, and I have a few good things as well. Dan Clancy and Rory Payne were both pretty favorable about Garrett and his performance at as the commentator for the Kern Open. Neither of them really had anything negative to say. Both of them seemed to have an appreciation for his bluntness and just being able to say certain things. And to a degree, I have to agree. I think that the ability to be able to say certain things clearly and without sugarcoating sometimes can be valuable. In certain instances when you're dealing with the right people, but other times I think it's more important to be tactful and say things in an appropriate manner, at least constructively. And there wasn't a whole lot about what he said that I felt was particularly constructive. Neither here nor there. Another thing that I thought personally was pretty good about it was the fact that they had people's previous PRs available. So as individuals went up for their attempts, he was able to say, hey, this attempt will be a 10 kilo PR for this individual on this lift or whatever. I thought that was pretty cool. So to have that available, historically about the lifters and be able to bring that to bear and inform the audience of, the lifter's previous performance, I thought was really cool. And I certainly did appreciate that. So from that level, I thought that was good. Now, again, with Garrett's kind of upfrontness and bluntness and the willingness to challenge things, I think that it can be good. Recently, Garrett got involved in some kind of discussion about legitimacy of lifts and records and things like that, which I think, is maybe a healthy conversation to have. It certainly is something that has been an issue within powerlifting for some time. And so to open up dialogue and talk about it and get people to kind of maybe think about what we're doing in terms of the application of world records and things like that, I think there's some value in that. Now, getting to what it is that I thought and kind of my opinions, right? Overarchingly, I felt like the performance, the commentary, it really just lacked professionalism across the board. And I'm gonna give a couple of instances of why I think so. First and foremost, around 50 minutes in, Garrett kind of gets off and starts talking about the judging, talking about how the judges, and one of the judges specifically, wasn't qualified to be there, making judges on the meet. In that instance, whether or not it was true, I feel like it wasn't a good thing to do, because ultimately the Kern is a product. It is supported and backed by a number of people and other companies and who have a vested interest in that product being consumed, right? People showing up and wanting to compete, people wanting to support the meet, things like that. So to openly on the mic in a live stream and for what will be posted onto YouTube to be seen by, potentially tens of thousands of people, to call in question the legitimacy of the judging of that meet calls into question the legitimacy of the meet itself. And so that really just calls into question about, is this even a quality meet if they can't even have judges who are qualified to be there and make the correct assessments of the lifts. I see that as a problem. Now, whether or not that was actually true or not, I feel like there was a better time, a better place to say something like that. Maybe that would have been a sidebar conversation to the meet director after the fact, not live on stream. I feel like that was a woeful departure of professionalism. Next, I think that some of the things that he was saying about lifters in general, and some of the commentary that he was making about people and their attempts and and their performance of the lifts, I felt really just was more insulting than it was insightful. You know, he was making assessments about whether or not somebody was going to bomb. He was making assessments about whether or not somebody was going to fail a lift before they ever put their hands on the bar. And again, I just feel like that is overarchingly not positive. And the commentator is there to kind of fire people up, get, you know, generate interest in the meet, generate interest in the lifters, and really kind of be somebody to kind of keep interest in the meet. But you know, when you kind of devolve into being negative and like downing people for what it is that they're there to do, again, from my personal perspective, I just see it as a departure of professionalism, and I really didn't appreciate that whatsoever. And then the last part was the devolving of the live stream and Garrett getting into essentially a pissing contest with the people that were in the live stream chat. There really just is no excuse for that. It was, he had no reason whatsoever to get in and start specifically, you know, talking to individuals who were on the live chat, either for what they were saying or the spam or trolling or whatever. You know, there was no reason to devolve into acknowledging it. You could have just ignored it. And really, he put a black eye on himself and the meet at large by being somebody involved in the meet and then devolving into this tirade of arguing with the live streamers. I feel like it was just weak sauce. So I wish that hadn't happened, but it happened. So there was certainly a lot of questions in there and things that he could have responded to directly, and that's all well and good, right? So legitimate questions, people that have legitimate comments, but you know, by all means talk about it. But if someone's spamming or trolling, just ignore them. There's no reason to just like, I'm gonna ban you from chat, which is what he did. So so those were my critiques of the chat and the commentary and whatever else. I overarchingly was not a fan of what I saw, and this is now the second meet that I've seen him doing commenting at, and I wish he'd stop. You may feel differently. Some people were very positive about Garrett. Some people thought he did a great job. So, you know, each will have their own opinion, but this was my opinion. If you guys feel the same way or you feel differently, leave a message in the chat box below. Let me know how you took that, what you thought out of what you saw. Were there any specific things that bothered you? And were there things that you thought were really, really good about what he did? I'd like to hear both sides of that. So again, for anyone that might know Garrett, or Garrett, if you happen to ever see this, I'm not trying to be, you know, super negative to you as a person. I don't know you. All I'm commenting on is what I saw in your performance of the Kern and really the other meet that I saw too, and just kind of making conversation. So I hope that you guys can respect that. Not trying to blast him or be super insightful in terms of inciting anger or anything like that, but rather just, again, having a conversation. That's it. Let me know what you think. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop in the chat box below. I'll be sure to respond. I appreciate you guys continue to support me in the channel with everything you do. It means the world, and thank you so much. Remember, guys, no matter what it is you can't do, like, you know, get in and enjoy your first meet, even if it's the Kern Open, and, you know, maybe the commenting isn't all that good. It's never going to happen if you don't get in and train to spite. You're either going to find an excuse or you're going to find a way, and I hope that you guys continue to find the way. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Peace.
Really, y'all don't know this, y'all